Welcome to the Big Dawg Crypto Podcast. This is your number one crypto podcast to hear directly from the movers and shakers, innovators and disruptors in the cryptocurrency industry. Follow on Twitter for updates and to communicate directly at @WoofBigDawg. That's at @WoofBig DAWG. Now, here is your host, the one and only Big Dawg Crypto.
Digital Bits is a protocol layer blockchain focused on supporting consumer digital assets. This is inclusive of assets such as loyalty and reward points, branded NFTs, fan tokens, and notably branded stablecoins. Find Digital Bits on Twitter at DigitalBitsORG. Digital Bits, making the future happen today.
And welcome to the latest episode of the Big Dawg Crypto Podcast. I'm your host, Big Dawg Crypto. I'm going to try and say it right. I don't want to mess it up. Kevin Svenson.
Yeah, that's about as close as you can get. Thank you for having me on, man. It's great to be here.
Brother, I appreciate it. As I was telling you, as we get started, you're one of the people that has always put out very solid content. And I say that because I always tell people in this space, find people that historically have given you good content, have given you good strategies and trading, history, and kind of follow them and learn. And so I want to ask you, when did you first start doing your videos? Doing videos or analysis? Well, so I want to actually start when you did videos, and I want to get into how you actually got into analysis.
So yeah, I mean, actually, what happened was in 2017, during the major run-up, I was like crazy about the Ethereum Facebook group, and I was posting tons of content there. And I noticed I couldn't really get my ideas across in the way that I wanted to through text. So I was like, let me just make some videos. And it was actually January 25th, I believe, was the date in 2018, the first month, like right as we were starting to dip, the bear market. I actually released my first video on YouTube and posted it in the Ethereum Facebook group. And it got like thousands of views immediately because people kind of had already seen me in there. And so that was like a really nice start. To get a couple thousand views on the first video is actually kind of, a really nice start. But that was it, yeah.
So as far as technical analysis, I mean, when did you first start doing TA?
So essentially, I was in college trading penny stocks. Right. Just kind of trying to get lucky here and there. And slowly over the years, I learned more and more. But it was really the start in college when I was trading penny stocks. And then it just came down to spending enough time in front of the charts and just, observing markets for a painfully long period of time, day in and day out, and getting comfortable and familiar with like the way things move and how people behave and, market behavior and all that kind of stuff. So it was all really self-taught, and it was just over many years.
So originally, as far as when you got into it, though, you were in penny stocks. But at what point did you? Because I love to ask my guests this because I'm generally interested when people first found out about crypto. When did you go from doing that to saying the crypto markets look like something interesting?
Well, it was actually in 2014, 2015. My older brother was dabbling in Bitcoin, and we kind of lightly got into it then. But it was really in 2017 when I was working in Hollywood in the film industry. And one of my close friends' brothers was out there. And I was like, oh, let's just go to get a drink at a bar. And then he starts telling me about Ethereum, right? And he is explaining to me in early 2017, why Ethereum is going to change the world and all that. And so, I kind of just aped in a little bit. I just maxed out my debit card and I was like, let's just get this because it was pumping up to $45. And I basically started buying it at that $45 consolidation in the spring of 2017. And then it started to pump like crazy. And I saw, how much more I could make in crypto, like how much faster the markets moved. It was far more exciting than the stock market, right? It just blew it out of the water, right? So that's, yeah.
When did you actually buy your first crypto? I mean, do you remember which one it was?
There was Bitcoin in 2014, 2015 with my brother really wasn't much, but it was Ethereum at $45 in the spring of 2017.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And of course it was hard at that point at $45 to know what it was going to go to.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of like me just buying into the pump and it just worked out. Right. Unfortunately for other people that did the same thing as me later on in the cycle, it didn't work out as much. So, there was obviously a little bit of luck in there, right? Just timing and stuff like that. A lot of stuff is about timing.
No doubt, no doubt. And you have a lot of history of the market. I mean, a lot of history, in here. One of the things I had to ask you this: what is the longest stream that you've done?
The longest live stream I've done. It was,
I know you've done like you're one of the guys.
No. So I was predicting in early 2018 that we were going to have a bear market and that we were going to go to 2,500. That was like the key price point. We never actually got there. We were like $600 off at the low. But anyway, as the market started to, Bitcoin created the descending triangle and we broke 6K. That's when my channel really started to gain traction, because before then everyone thought that they just hated me. They were like, oh, this guy's bearish and I'm losing money. And I don't like that he's saying that we're going to go even lower. Like, it was just like kind of difficult start. But then once we really started to break 6,000, my channel started to get a lot more views and I started to do a lot more live streams. And then I was doing like 2 4-hour streams, 5 hours. And then there was one that was 10 hours. So my max is a 10-hour stream. And I don't even know how I did it, because nowadays when I stream, it's like an hour and a half goes by and I'm like, all right, I'm done.
It's funny. So I'll tell you, actually, I think where I found you was, going through different channels. And so I always tell people that, and I want to kind of ask you suggestions on how they should find stuff. But I always say, try and consume content, try and learn about stuff. And it was during that time, and I don't know if it was a 10-hour one, but it was close. And I remember it was like there was some really volatile price action. And I found your channel and I had it on. I was working late one night. And it was like, and I was like, this dude is still on. Like it was like live streaming, live TV, reality show Bitcoin. But I had never seen anybody do that. So man, that got me through a lot of nights, because it was just so good to have you on and just kind of watch.
Yeah. A lot of people said that they discovered me through those streams. So maybe I should do it again, actually. But it was painful actually doing those for so long. It's, streaming is actually very exhausting. I don't know if people realize that. It's so exhausting, but yeah.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of work. There's a lot of work that goes into it. And obviously, so when you look at new people in the space, one of the things that I really try and gear this podcast towards are new people, so that, you've been in the space a while, crypto. We want them to kind of like figure some stuff and maybe, learn some stuff here. So I would ask, somebody comes in, like they've heard of Dogecoin, they bought some, right? Maybe went up or down, they want to buy some Bitcoin. What would you advise that person for content? How would you say learn about the crypto space? What's the best way between YouTube, Twitter, something else? What would you tell them?
That's actually an interesting question. And it's actually a question I was thinking about how to answer for a long time now. And for me personally, like originally, if you're just starting off, you should probably just look at everything and just kind of find your place, find what interests you, find what fits, right? And you should probably just absorb as much as possible. But as time goes on, you have to really narrow down who you're listening to, what you're consuming. And I'm actually at the point now where I actually keep it extremely minimal of who I'm listening to, because I find that the biggest problem that new people have is that they follow, and if somebody says something, like a big channel says something, they have an immediate emotional response to what that person said, and they hold it up on a pedestal, right? They say like, oh, this person said that, and then they like believe it, right? They just believe that they're going to be right or something like that. Really, you should be like more minimalist about the content you're consuming once you really find your place and whatever you're going to be doing. But yeah.
I totally agree with that, because I think, people tend to want to not just, look at what somebody said, but like they said this was going to go up or this is going to go down. And I always tell them, look, we're doing our best to kind of share what we think is going to happen. But, my crystal ball from Amazon has not arrived, so I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
I'll let you know when I get it,
Right.
So looking to this fall, right now, you've seen, of course, Bitcoin is doing, looks like it's getting ready to do something. Thoughts on the ETF? I was actually at lunch. I was talking about the ETF. And then
so we basically just got the launch of the first Bitcoin's Futures ETF, or so on the New York Stock Exchange. And, that's really not that's not exactly what we've been waiting for. Everyone's been waiting for the ETF, where we want a spot traded ETF, because the futures traded ETF is, it's contracts that have to settle. So the spot traded ETF, when it comes, if it comes, I'm assuming it's going to come. That's really what's going to drive market moves. That's really what's going to drive prices, spot trading, not futures trading, right?
So do you see a spot trading one coming up this year or next?
I think so. I think that the fact that we got this is probably a sign that, I guess they're a little bit more inviting it seems like they're becoming a little bit more inviting to all this. It's just probably they see it as an inevitability at this point. So yeah, I do think that a spot traded ETF is coming.
Do you think when you look at Gary Gensler, what are your thoughts on his approach towards crypto?
Wait, could you go into that a little bit more?
Well, I'm saying when you look at the SEC and you look at Gary Gensler, how do you feel that he's been towards crypto, and specifically he will be as a regulator towards crypto?
I mean, I just think that overall crypto is this inevitable thing, and they see that coming, right? It's very hard to control decentralization. Like you can't. It's just something that I think he realizes they have to deal with, right? It's coming fast. They have to deal with it. And, they're going to be hard on it, but I think they're going to want to get their hands in it as soon as possible. So I think that's kind of what I see between the lines, at least. But yeah.
Yeah, I could agree. I could agree with that. Definitely. And as far as looking at the market cap of gold and where we are with crypto, do you want to guess of ballpark when we could overtake gold?
That's a good question. I mean, I think that probably, for the Bitcoin market cap or overall, I have an overall. I
guess Bitcoin, but as an asset class,
I think the total crypto market cap will probably top out around 7 trillion.
You're talking on this run.
In this run, probably, I think. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I also have a lot of ideas about the Bitcoin price where I think, and I'm actually looking at it right now. We're hitting new local highs, and we're just a few percent away from the all-time high. So that's honestly really exciting as well.
So that leads me to a future question. I have to ask my guests this just because I'm generally interested in what, the people that know so much in the community, and you look at charts so much, what do you see Bitcoin hitting as a high in the cycle? And specifically, if you want to go out there to really guesstimate what time frame, we're in mid-October now, 19th of October, any guesses on those two?
So there's a few things that I think a really important idea that I was just explaining on Twitter that I want to actually get across here. And that is that also for all the new people, you shouldn't be focused on how much you could have made. So we're all going to have our price targets. We're all going to be looking at where's Bitcoin going to top out. We all want to sell the exact top and all this stuff. But it's not about how much you could make or could have made. It's about, you shouldn't be afraid that I could have made more if I just held on longer. Right. So it's more like, actually, you should be afraid of the fact that you didn't make any gains at all. Right. So when you set price targets, you should be setting them at realistic places and scaling out because, again, we don't know. Nobody really knows. So I have price targets on some Fibonacci extension levels at 124,000 is my first target, the 2618. And then the 4236 comes in 180,000. And I think that taking profits along the way like that is going to be is probably the best thing to do because most people are guessing 200K or above. Mm-hmm. And I think at least taking something along the way below is probably going to be the smartest move, because you really don't know.
You're right, we don't. But as far as looking at it, but as far as a time frame, would you want to guess when we could see ultimately that happening for the all-time high of the cycle?
Well, I actually just posted a cycle chart on Twitter, and it shows that probably the first 2 months, somewhere in the first 2 months, I think, of 2022.
Really? Okay.
Most likely. We're basically, if you're measuring it from the last market cycle top, Bitcoin is right next to 2017 in terms of its performance. But I think that we're going to probably have just a slightly longer cycle this time, just ever so slightly. And I would say probably February, March of 2022. It could be February. I'll just say February is my guess. Timing. I mean, I found that timing is like the hardest thing to.
Yeah. It is. Like once again, yes. Like I had the crystal ball, but I'm interested. Like I said, because your stuff has been so spot on, and I've enjoyed it. I got to ask you that. Speaking of that, Bitcoin goes up, and then we talk about also. Are you still a Chainlink fan?
I am. So you guys. Well, I'm not sure. When did you start watching my channel?
About 4 years ago.
Yes. So on my
YouTube
channel, we were talking about Chainlink at 50 cents. We were talking about it at $1.80.
You talked under $1,
right? Yeah, we were talking about it for a long time, and then it did really well. And we, the 2021 at $20 and all that stuff. And now it is a top crypto, right? The only reason I've sort of slowed down on talking about it is because the developer wallets have been selling a lot and bogging down the price, and it's also now the market cap is also very high. So I've sort of dialed back on the Chainlink hype because I don't want to give the impression that it's going to be like the best, most multiple X return investment you can make. I think it's going to be one of the longest lasting crypto projects we have. I think that Chainlink has a much higher chance of being here in 10 years than 99% of other cryptos because it's so well integrated into the ecosystem. So, in terms of that, I think it's one of the safest, best investment choices, right? But it's also, in terms of performance, we'll see. We'll see what happens, right?
Well, would you want to jump ahead? Let's say we're going to go to December of 2022. Would you want to go out there and say what you think the top 5 could be? The top 5 cryptos. I mean, I'm assuming Bitcoin.
Oh man, that's a great question. I would have to look at the list. I mean, obviously Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB for top 5. I'm not sure. I'm not totally sure.
It's really kind of hard to predict. I'm putting you on the spot,
I would say maybe Polkadot would be in there. I think Polkadot has a good chance of being in there, and then Chainlink, I would say.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. No, I like that. I love asking things like this, whether I ask you or people ask me sometimes. And I had my favorite things when someone says, I give a Bitcoin price, whatever. Can you guarantee it? I'm like, look, I'll make you a deal. You take what I tell you. You take my prediction. You take $3 in my prediction. You go to Starbucks, you get a cup of coffee. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, there are no guarantees. There are no guarantees.
No, hold on. You say that, but people watching to be like, wait, you told me you thought. It's like, yes, I thought it would. I don't know for a fact.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of times where I mean, there's been, I've had some great successes in this cycle so far. And also there's been multiple times where I'll buy a coin like Curve DAO token, CRV, has the highest total value locked of any crypto project across all chains. So much money in it, so much utility, right? And the token value did nothing, absolutely nothing. Right. And it was just like, it just like blew my mind. I was like, how could I have been wrong about that? But sometimes it's just like, hype in crypto, hype actually does play a bigger role than fundamentals in some cases, right? Yeah. In terms of like medium term, like pumps and stuff like that. Hype is actually, it's so important for projects, honestly.
No, absolutely. And it's like I'll tell people, like, I've had, going back 5 years, I've had some great picks, I've had some bad ones, but I say, look, as long as you're comfortable, if I'm mentioning something, I say, always say, do your own research on anything. Never make a decision listening, like taking everything somebody else said, whether it's you or me or anybody, right?
Oh, yeah. If somebody comes back and says to you, like, oh, you said this and it didn't do that, and then it hurts me. I mean, that person, in my eyes, they should probably just stop everything they're doing and leave, because if you're going to blame somebody else, you shouldn't be here at all, right? You should take responsibility for everything you do, no matter what anyone says.
Yeah,
right?
No, I agree completely. And I'm like, look, this could go 100x, it could go 0. As long as you're comfortable with both scenarios, go ahead and get it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Right, so. Yeah. You have to be willing to lose it,
Yeah. But, give it a shot. But no, I think there's a lot in this space that I think people like you can really help people with. And
and before I forget, for a beginner, focus on how much you can lose rather than how much you can make. Because a lot of beginners, if we're talking about helping beginners, if you're just going to sit there and focus on, what if it goes 10x? What if it goes 100x? Okay, but let's look at the other side. How much could you lose, and how are you going to mitigate that risk? Because if you focus on how much you can lose and cut your losses, mitigate your risk, that's how you're actually going to survive, right? So let me ask you this. So when it comes to doing day trading, right, or somebody's doing trading, when you look at candles, do you have a preference between a 15-minute candle, a 2-hour, a 4-hour? What would you tell somebody that just wants to get in for a few hours and trade? I would say probably the best approach, the simplest technique you could look for would be look on the daily chart first. If it's over, okay, let's say you're looking to long. Look at the daily chart, wait for the daily chart to go well below oversold territory. And once it gets into oversold territory, go down to the 4-hour chart and look for bullish divergence. And if you're oversold on the daily with 4-hour bullish divergence, you'll have a better chance of taking a successful long.
Right.
Opposite to the opposite, if you want to take it short, if it's totally overextended, totally overbought in the daily, jump into the 4-hour chart and wait for bearish divergence to show up, and then you'll have more success possibly shorting the market. And a lot of new people, they don't, I see this all the time. A lot of new people will jump in and be like, I want to make a trade today, and it's like that's not how this works, right? Yeah. You have to wait, and it's hard, especially when you're new. It's really hard to be patient and sit on your hands and be like, I'm not going to do anything until the right moment shows up. And even for a professional, they mess up like that too. You have to just wait. And I think developing that patience and that willingness to just wait for the opportunity, or even if you're a long-term investor, as I am, just waiting, just giving things time preference, right? You got to have a long time preference, or just have some patience,
Patience seems to be the name of the game, especially to do it right, whether it's certain parts of the industry. So let me ask you this. So aside from this, when you're not doing crypto, what sort of hobbies, what sort of stuff do you like to do for like doing some downtime?
One of the things I've been doing recently is the Bitcoin movies on my channel. So I'll edit. So I guess it's still crypto related. I'll edit like meme videos and movies and stuff like that. But crypto is, it's a huge part of everything I do. I have my own VIP community, so I'm always in there, always talking to them, always watching the charts. Other than that, it's right. When there's a bull market, there's not much else I'm doing, to be honest.
It's fun. I totally agree with that, because it's like you try and relax a little bit, but it always brings you back to this. There's no question about that. Especially
right.
Yeah. Yep. And as far as favorite food, you got your choice. What's your favorite food?
Recently, I've been really liking spicy curry, Indian curry. Recently, that's been ordering that a few times a week.
All right, cool. And then finally, when you're working and stuff, and you're not actually recording stuff, what you have on the background? Podcast, music, silence, TV, what?
I think I had the TV on before. There was actually charts up there. I actually usually like to put on like videos of like the Earth at night, and it's like turning, because it makes me feel like a little bit more connected to everything. In this time when we're all working at home in front of our computers. Yeah. Feeling even if it's an illusion, just some sort of connection to everything, kind of just go for that. That's why I have all these fake plants here too.
I can't say that like I have on my TV, I have an aquarium.
Oh yeah, I actually do that as well. The aquarium. That's always a nice one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's soothing and relaxing. So, brother, tell people where can they find you as far as on Twitter and your YouTube channels. Tell them where they can find you, please.
So Twitter is at Kevin Svenson _. And then on YouTube, just type in Kevin Svenson Crypto. Honestly, I think I'm the only Kevin Svenson that has any sort of digital footprint. So just go on Google. Yeah. You just type in my name. You'll probably find all the links and stuff right away.
Nice. Well, look, Kevin, I appreciate you taking the time. And I don't think I've seen you do an interview before. So I feel
this is my first one. So yeah.
Man,
this is literally my first interview ever. I've never done a podcast, never done an interview.
Wow.
And I am planning to do some more. And then I saw your message in my Twitter messenger, and I was like, let's do it. Let's go.
Well, I appreciate it, Kevin. That means a lot. That absolutely does. So yeah,
thank you. Definitely. This will probably be my memories as first one. So I'm glad to share it.
Hey, look, appreciate it. And people watching this as we get in the market just going wild, it'll be good. They get some information from this. So I appreciate you taking the time.
Of course.
Anyway, thank you. This is the newest episode of the Big Dawg Crypto Podcast. Kevin Svenson on right now.
You've been listening to the Big Dawg Crypto Podcast. Follow on Twitter at WoofBigDawg. Woof, Big DAWG. And run faster than the competition. Woof, woof.